The Adventures of Elliot, the Millennium Tales, released on June 18th, 2026, as Square Enix's first real-time action RPG built in the HD 2D engine. This game comes from the team behind Octopath Traveler and Triangle Strategy, and delivers a game with competent combat, a gorgeous world, but a story that is so aggressively boring for most of the runtime, it's like getting shot in the neck with a tranquilizer dart. I'm the real-life Fake Wizard, and this is a Fake Wizard's review of The Adventures of Elliot, the Millennium Tales. If this video brings you any value, hit the subscribe button, as we're posting new reviews nearly every day. I was gifted this copy of Elliot from a viewer in the community, and for that, thank you very much. The Kingdom of Huther is humanity's last stand on a continent overrun by beast tribes, kept standing by a magic barrier tied to Princess Uria. When a set of unknown ruins turns up outside the walls, an adventurer named Elliot gets recruited to investigate. Eventually, he picks up a fairy sidekick named Faye and encounters the Doorway of Time, a portal that sends Elliot across 4 ages, spanning 1,000 years on the continent's history. Mechanically, this is a top-down action RPG. Elliot equips 2 weapons at a time from a pool that includes bombs, a bow, a boomerang, a spear, a hammer, and a chain sickle. The upgrade system, called Magicite, bolts modifiers onto each weapon, like making your boomerang deal more damage while moving slower, or adding fire damage to your sword. Now, this game is very similar to another game, all the way down to the names themselves. The Legend of Zelda, The Adventures of Elliot. Square Enix is just playing Mad Libs both on gameplay design and the talking fairies. This Elliot game is like 3 tingles in a trench coat. This is a difficult game to review, and it's because I'm very conflicted. Firstly, there are elements to this that are excellent, but there are also elements to it that are terrible. And I see people online saying how they loved this so much and the story is amazing, but I'm not gonna glaze it like everybody else, because there's just too much to talk about. A lot of the discourse around Adventures of Elliot have to do with the dialogue, and to be clear, the dialogue is not good. Act 1 is very difficult to get through, both because of story that takes too long to lift off the ground, but really because the early dialogue is brutal. The writer's favorite move is having characters announce their emotional states at each other, and it happens constantly. Here are some of the actual lines from the game. "The 2 of you trust each other implicitly. I envy such a bond." Or an exchange like this: "I wish I could be more help. You are. Just having someone to talk to is a huge relief." The game runs on constant emotional reassurances, with a supporting cast lining up to keep patting each other on the back just for existing. The snail's speed pacing only makes all of this worse. The first 3 hours crawl, and just when the game recovers with solid gameplay, it sabotages itself. At about the 6-hour mark, right as the combat really opens up, the king will clear his throat and say, "Let me tell you a legend." What follows is roughly 15 minutes of characters talking at each other, and every ounce of enthusiasm that the game just earned from the combat opening goes out the window. Every time the game starts to get interesting, it schedules a meeting that should have been an email. And that leads to a larger issue because, despite all of the dialogue, the game doesn't give you a reason to care about anyone. It will take about 10 hours before you start to care about anybody. Elliot, our hero protagonist, is as generic as white bread. It is not until side quests at the top of Act 2, again, anywhere from 8 to 10 hours of gameplay in, before he starts to become interesting, and only because of how he interacts with Faye the fairy. Faye is not common to the human experience, so having Elliot explain why returning an engagement ring to a grieving widow is not only the right thing to do, but also how humans might express love through memory, we get to see a little more of a reason to care about why this guy should be the hero of the kingdom, and why you should care about him at all. Square Enix knows how to make you attach to a protagonist quickly, okay? Zack Fair, Cloud, Sora, Noctis, Clive Rossfield, and many, 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 many more, right? In the first 20 minutes, you find reasons to care about what these heroes are after, and Square has spent 30 years perfecting these story hooks. Elliot, like every character in this game, goes through a pattern. there's minor concern, and then reassurances from someone else. So as an example, that might look like Elliot being mildly concerned about something, and then someone else offers an encouraging word. Or someone else is mildly concerned about something, and then Elliot offers the encouraging words. When a protagonist earns 0 attachment on their own, the script starts assigning attachment by default. Characters tell you bonds of friendship matter. They tell you that trust runs deep. Show me any of it on screen. All that telling is just dead weight. Now, coming down on this game the way we are is disappointing, because I really want to love this game. I tried, I really tried, and yet I just don't. I found myself booting it up many times over to give it the best possible chance, strictly out of duty to this review, and just that alone is a massive indictment on what should be a great game. The defense that I keep reading online says that the story will ramp up later on, and there's a big late game to it, and yes, I can confirm that it does ramp up, and it does actually have a good story, but that still is about 12 hours worth of game before it starts getting interesting. Really, man? For $60, it shouldn't need to take 12 hours of boring JRPG repetition to finally get good. A story that saves its whole payoff for the final stretch is a story wasting every hour before it. I think this game just asked for way too much. And I think that brings us to Faye, the fairy companion, who is exactly as annoying as the internet says she is. Game Informer clocked her voice as escapee from Dora the Explorer, and that's being generous because at least Dora waits for an answer. Faye narrates. She narrates the treasure chest you're walking toward. She narrates the torch you were obviously going to light. She reads the puzzle solution off the back of the box while you're still enjoying the puzzle. And it is insufferable. Now look, there is one more bad thing that I need to talk about, and then I promise we'll talk about the good, because there is a lot of good. The movement speed in this game is slow. It's too slow. This is another issue that is compounded by the slow story and the slow dialogue. Everything about this game is tedious, and it did not need to be. You will find yourself running back and forth, zone after zone, across the same zones, essentially. And while the zones are very well built, walking across them softly and slowly, watching the time tick away on your clock, is rough. You won't unlock any kind of sprint upgrade until well into the game, and even that depletes far too quickly. At about the 8-hour mark, I ended up installing a mod that increased movement speed, and I immediately had a better experience with this game. Because being able to move faster allowed me to clear through the remaining dull story and get into the good stuff, but that was still another 4 hours later. And I should point out that this modification is the kind of experience you will only get if you play this game on PC, because you can't do any kind of modding on consoles. Now, as promised, it's not all bad. Not at all. There are some diamonds in this rough. The combat is satisfying. The art of the world is satisfying. The story and how it ends up is satisfying. The Magicite system, allowing you to customize your build-out, is a unique system in a gaming marketplace filled with conventional level-ups and skill trees. And then, there are a handful of small quality-of-life features that I absolutely loved. Firstly is the overworld map and the fast travel system. Seeing all the markers on the map that you'll need to return to when you unlock abilities later is a near requirement for a game like this. Then, when you're in the townsfolk all carry an icon over their heads that indicates whether you've spoken to them before, allowing you to keep track much easier in case you missed any key dialogue options. Things like that make me think that there was JRPG and RPG fans that actually built this because they knew where to put the quality of life things. It's just the writers that had no idea what they were doing. Come on, there's a lot to love about this game. As I said before, the story does pick up quite a bit, but I don't want to spoil any of that for those of you who will be playing this game, or if you get it on sale. And that's another point we'll get to in a minute. There's something else worth noting too. This game was built with the Nintendo Switch and handheld gamers in mind. In fact, I broke out my own Rogue Ally just to test this theory, and yeah, this game is great on a smaller screen, playing exactly the way the old Game Boy Zeldas were designed to be played. The Adventures of Elliot, the Millennium Tales retails for $60. That price point is too much for a story-driven game that is so dull in the early hours. I believe this game is best for children, women, and/or ultra-casual RPG players who are looking for casual gaming experiences, like especially in handheld mode if you're a handheld player. Oh, and I don't say any of that derogatorily. I just wish all of those baskets of people got an early game that had at least one buy-in moment worth getting immersed in the first 8 hours. On craft and gameplay competency, I want to say that this game is a 7, like a solid 7, even with all of the issues. But at the price point that it's currently sitting out, compounding with the issues, this is a 6. And for it, the Adventures of Elliot is banished to the backlog. If this game is on sale for 20 or 30 bucks, it's a much more viable, and at that point, I think it would be a 7. At $60, there are just too many other games you can get for that money, that you know you'll have a better experience playing. Now, if this review saved you 60 bucks, subscribe to the channel and hype this video. More of this summer's big releases are on the way, and we'll be here to review them all. Until next time, create, innovate, and inspire others to do the same, and also cancel your Disney Plus subscription. Bye-bye.